Have you ever done this? You come across a video on your feed and you think, I want to make that. But then you just finish the video and you keep doom scrolling. We've all done that, right? Well, not this time, chumps. I bought the materials, set up the files, and did the crap. And I'm gonna show you how easy it is to do it too. Let's go. Hey there, spirits, and welcome back to the graveyard. My name's Soul, and this is my ghost friend, Art.
Hi there!
Today, I'm going to take you through the process of making a personalized leather keychain with a Cricut. It's a great way to add a personal touch to your everyday accessories, or even give it as a thoughtful gift to somebody special. Let's get started. Here's the materials you'll need. You're going to need veg tan tooling leather, 4 to 5 ounces for the maker, and just to make sure it's under 2 millimeters for the Explorer. You're gonna need a stain, and here's the one we used in Acorn Brown, and a protective top coat, and this is the one we used. And here's all the tools you're going to need. A knife, ruler, transfer tape or strong tape, Cricut maker or one that's compatible with the next attachments, an engraving tip, the Cricut transfer foil kit, a deep cut blade, a heavy grip mat, a brayer, gloves, clean soft cloth or a clean rag, cotton swabs and paper towels, and this rivet kit. And as always, everything will be linked below. First, we need to make the design. We recommend using thin lines to ensure that the Cricut tool can go over it on one pass. This is a design I made for my dad's trike, but the keychain process you're going to be seeing is a D&D pattern Sam made for Jordan. We made these designs as presents for my sister and her fiance. My sister is obsessed with the Minecraft bees, and Jordan loves D&D. Then export your artwork as just line art with a transparent background. Bring it into the Cricut and set up the file like this. Next, create the shape of the keychain you want. And add a 1.5 inch long strap at the top to make a loop later. Now this is how you're going to set up the project to work with the leather. You're going to duplicate your line art 4 times to have a total of 5 line arts. Set the top layer to engrave and the other layers to medium foil under the operation drop-down menu. Selecting all of the line art layers, you're going to center align them all on top of each other and place it on the keychain cutout shape. Next, duplicate the outside shape layer and bring that layer down to the bottom. This is just to make sure there's 2 cut passes on the leather. Lastly, once you've aligned everything how you want it, you're going to select all the layers and attach them. The file should look something like this before you press make. Now you're going to measure out how big your design is and cut the leather to be half an inch bigger on each side. So if the design is 2 by 2 inches, make the leather 2.5 by 2.5 inches. Apply transfer tape to the back of the leather, sticky side up to keep your mat clean. Prep the leather by using a damp sponge to make a nice even moistness. It should be a nice even darker color than it was originally. Let it dry until optimal. Why did I write this word? Optimal. Until optimal. You know what? I'm not gonna say it. Let it dry until the perfect moistness for the project. It takes around 30 minutes for it to get there, depending on how humid it is in your environment, and it should feel dry but cold to the touch. And it'll be almost back to its original color. Then you're going to use a heavy grip mat to hold down the project. It's easier to line up if you choose what grid to put it on before you cut. We do this because the Cricut indents a little bit off of each edge line on the left and the top. So for us, we moved it 2 inches over and 1 inch down. This also helps line it up perfectly so you can have less wasted leather with the border around the design. And we're just going to use the brayer to roll over it to make sure it sticks down really well. You don't want this thing moving when it's going through the cut stage. Move all the star wheels on your Cricut to the right of the bar to not interfere with the thicker leather. And you're going to change the blade to the engraver tool with the cogs lined up to the back. Then you're going to load your project. It's going to do 1 engraving pass. Then, without unloading the mat, change to the medium foil transfer tool, which is the one with the 2 lines, and then press go. It's going to do 4 passes with this tool, and again, don't remove the mat after it's finished. Finally, replace the foil transfer tool with the deep cut blade, and it's going to do 2 passes for the outside of the keychain shape. As you can see here, it had a hard time with the sharp corners, so try to use more rounded edges or less intense corners. Now you can unload the mat. And to take the project off, you just peel the backing tape up to remove the entire thing from the mat. The tape keeps the mat nice and clean from all the leather hairs. If the shape didn't finish cutting out completely on your Cricut, you can just finish it off with a blade. Then you have to let the leather completely dry for around 12 hours. This is to make sure the next steps apply smoothly. Once it's dry, it's on to staining. And make sure you wear gloves unless you want to stain your hands to look like Chewbacca. You need to shake the stain well to make sure everything is mixed. Then you take your keychain and bend it backwards to open up all the crevices for the stain to go into. Then, taking a clean rag, we used an old t-shirt, we are going to use it to apply the stain to the leather by wiping it on and adding a generous thin even coat. You can keep staining it until you get the colors that you want.
Somebody points out a corner you missed. It's because you were holding it like Achilles' heel. Dunked him in the lake.
Then take a paper towel and wipe off any excess. Make sure there isn't any globs or pooling for the best even results. Then taking a cotton swab, you can push the stain into all the crevices. And again, wipe off any excess. And now we're going to stain the sides with the same cotton swab, trying not to stain the back as much as possible. If you want, you can stain both sides, it's just a stylistic choice we chose. Clean up any excess and let the stain set for a couple hours until dry. Then take a clean cloth and buff the leather. This is to clean up any excess stain that's on it and give it a nice even shine. Then taking your sponge, apply the sealer to it in a thin layer. And once again, let it dry completely. Now we're going to add rivets to make a loop in the keychain for the hoop keyring. You're going to need a very hard surface to hit against for this step, so we just went outside on the driveway because the table was taking too much of an impact and it wasn't punching through the leather. Using the circle base, put the leather on top of it where you want to punch the first hole. Using the pin with a hole punch in it and a hammer, punch through the leather. Repeat in the area where the loop will come around at the top. And the leather you hole punched will come up the side of the pin. And of course, you're gonna have your outdoor cat supervisor make sure everything is up to code in the operation. And what's a good supervisor without doing any of the work, getting in the way, and shouting orders at you while you work?
Felix, no! Felix. Felix, come here. Okay. Felix, come here. The ring on. Felix. Hold on. He keeps overexposing everything because he's completely black. Okay.
Once your supervisor goes back to his office, you're going to add the stem of the rivet, add the ring into the loop, and then flip the loop over, enclosing the ring and pushing the stem through the second hole. Add the rivet cap on and push them together with your fingers until you hear it click. Then, lining the back of the rivet to the indent on the base, and using the stick with the divot side, you're going to hammer the cap into the rivet stem. It only takes a couple of taps and you're done. On to the beauty shots. We love how rustic and clean these keychains came out. So much so that we made a couple more designs as gifts. As you can see, the Cricut can do so much more than just cut. And more than what the tools were originally made for. I love how creative the Cricut community is and how willing to share their knowledge of new techniques. If you want the full video explanation with the types of leather and why to use what tool, then I highly suggest watching this video we are following for this project. Her video goes more into depth about how she developed the technique and what materials produce the best results. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Don't forget to subscribe and comment an idea for a leather keychain down below. And until next time, see ya!